Buying into early iterations of VR can feel like a waste of money when you can't find games that are worth it. Getting a few free games gave me hope that I would at least have a decent amount of things to try out before regretting my purchase. Surprisingly, there was one in particular that caught my attention. The Oculus Rift may have a hidden gem up its sleeve with Robo Recall. First off, the menu itself is pretty standard. There isn't a ton of video settings to adjust due to the nature of VR, but audio settings are plentiful and there's a couple other quality of life tweaks that can be made. To note, the screen door effect can be noticed pretty heavily in the white menu screens, otherwise it's hard to notice. Starting a new game puts the player in a public area with robots noticing breaking news regarding the outbreak of rogue robots. After a very disturbing stare down with these machines, we get placed into the position of a Robo Recaller whose job is to rid the city of the infected robots. First, you'll be shown around a very interactive office setting. It's surprising how much time I spent roaming around this room messing with all of the items. So many objects are interactable with pretty accurate physics. Moving on. This is where you also have access to customizing your loadout with unlockables as you progress through the game and completing challenges. You can test them out in the gun range, but more importantly, this is where you choose which mission to tackle. Each level becomes progressively more difficult and slightly develops a story for the player to follow. Honestly, the story is super basic and pretty bland. But that's also not why you play this title. The combat in this game is very well made, and in no time you'll be teleporting across the map, blowing robots to pieces or ripping off their limbs to destroy their friends. There's several mechanics that make you feel like some kind of god in the Matrix. Throw weapons at enemies to catch them out of the air with a full magazine, grab robots and throw them at others, or even grab bullets out of midair to redirect them back at the shooter, all while racking up a large combo and score to show off on the worldwide leaderboard. Everything is very fluid and keeps you immersed into that moment, which is more important than you think. For example, one major issue of VR headsets today is the not so dense pixel count. Most players can even make out the individual pixels as they play. Robo Recall distracts you from these issues with its polished gameplay. To me, that is a really big deal. But that's really all there is to the game. There's only 9 missions and not a lot of objectives to complete while playing them. Sure, it's fun to get new attachments for weapons and climb higher on the leaderboard, but nothing helps to carry you along. It's fun, but short. What about audio?
It's entirely safe. We stake our reputation on it.
Excuse me.
Well, there you have it. The one thing you absolutely must do is...
Look down and observe. Every time you draw a pistol, Robo Ready's supply team receives a requisition request.
3, 2, 1, go! Shot to the head!
Move to the next location.
Hey! Robot Kevin, I see ya! Ow, ow, ow! Daisy, Daisy.
Good work.
Oh my!
60 seconds remaining.
Awkward.
It's mostly good, but not great. With what little voice acting there is, it's decent and could be worse. Music is also energetic and enjoyable during intense fights, but unfortunately, the sound effects for the weapons aren't the best I've ever heard. There's some impact when you use them, but not enough to make them feel powerful. Definitely some improvement to be made on any future titles. Overall, Robo Recall feels like a tech demo for a really well-made combat system wrapped in a very loose single-player experience. Since it comes free with the Oculus Touch, it's not a big deal, and more importantly, it shows the start of what high-octane shooters can come to in this platform. I definitely wouldn't say that this makes the Oculus worth buying, but for those of you who want to get started in the virtual reality landscape, you should feel safe in knowing that there is a very pleasant surprise waiting for you on your first dive in. And that's it for Robo Recall. Be sure to like this video if it helped you out, and subscribe to see my thoughts on upcoming titles. You can check out my social media by clicking on the links in the description below, and see what other games I have in mind to review even before a video is released.